What's up, you fat-ankled curmudgeons? It's me, David, and Grant. Shortly, we're back. Psycho season. It's crazy. Episode 3. We're heavy today. We've got a lot to discuss, a lot to unload. First half of the show, action-packed. Chainsaw Man Episode 2. Rings of Power, Episode 8, the finale. We get into it. We get into it, and the entire internet gets into it. We talk about that as well. Hot D, House of the Dragon, Episode 9, we cover alongside Mob Psycho Season 3, Episode 2. Then we do the news feed. We talk about MCU news, Warner Brothers / DC news, Amsterdam, the movie at the box office, and how fantastic that's going. And then we discuss My Hero Academia, Episode 3 of Season 6. Gundam, Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury, Episode 3, Spy Family, Episode 15, and Blue Lock, Episode 2, which Grant has some feelings about, before he then tells us about Bocce the Rock. And we close on the Q&A, the Instagram sensation sweeping the nation that we host every single Monday on our Instagram at Part-Time Otaku Podcast, which you should follow. And when you're done that, subscribe to us on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts or your podcast equivalent. All right, see, now I'm rambling. Enjoy the show. Hey there, Grant.
Hey, dude.
How you doing there, scallywag?
No, I'm scallywagging along.
Yeah, yes you are. We're here. We've made it. Psycho season. What is this? Episode 3.
Episode 3.
How's it feel?
I think this is the first week where I've felt the Psycho season truly.
Have you slept?
Barely. True anxiety trying to fit all this into a schedule. Trying to figure out times and all that. But I got the brunt of it done. But thankfully everything was good this week that we watched.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot easier.
I had to take stress leave to get through it. I had to just devote 2 working days. And when I said it was for the podcast, they were like, you know what? We totally understand.
Yeah, take those out of office hours, as many as you need.
I take this seriously. Okay, we got like a strong beginning of this show here, but I really think we gotta start with Chainsaw Man, Episode 2. We are going to get to the finale of Rings of Power, Season 1, and then House of the Dragon, Mob Psycho, and then there's news and a whole bunch more anime, My Hero, many things to come, so just strap in. Okay, second episode... Pilots, Grant, we know how we feel about pilots around here. They're difficult. But the second episode is like a really good, like, okay, we've established like the bare bones of the world you're in. Now, like, go have an adventure. This is kind of that, and kind of like meet the gang.
Yes.
What do you think? What did you think of this episode?
I liked it. It was an interesting episode because I think it did a good job of... because the pilot, like, it has so much work to do, right? It has more, like, kind of the world and some of the power balances and all this and that. And then there's, like, most of the tone, usually up front. But then kind of, like, the secondary stuff, like, when it comes tone-wise, is usually kind of found in the second episode.
Yeah.
And I think we got a lot of that here. We kind of got we had the silliness in episode 1, but it tended to be more sad moments, like him kind of sulking in the shed, and even the moments in the garbage bin. This is like more the silliness of like the character silliness, and kind of like like the whole like the running gag. He wants to get with a girl and stuff like that, and which I'm not surprised because I know this is like shonen seinen, like it's it's like a power fantasy thing, so you kind of tend to see this stuff, but. No, it was a good episode. It was hard not by the end of the episode to think of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, that's in my notes for sure. It's remarkably similar in tone and just like in construct compared to Jujutsu Kaisen, just because of just a lot of the setup is the same, and even the world a little bit feels slightly the same, and it's animated by the same studio. You got your MC, kind of happy-go-lucky with the tall, dark rival type, and then the wild card, which in this instance is another
out there woman. But it's, I don't know. I like the vibe of the show. It's interesting, like there's a couple moments of we don't really know who is good and who is not. Like we know this is kind of like this government thing.
Yeah.
I do like that. This isn't like Jujutsu Kaisen where it's like kind of in the shadows. This is like a very upfront society. Like they're talking with police officers. They know each other.
That's true.
It's very front facing.
It's kind of like alchemists and Full Metal
yes.
Alchemists.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even thought of that, but that's 100% very similar to that. So it's just such an interesting show, and I'm glad it like there's no tonal shift from one to the other. Like it's still very on key. Like we'll talk about Spy Family later, but from that first episode to the second one, it was very not apples and oranges, but like they were trying to get all the facets of the show, so it kind of felt like almost two different shows between episodes 1 and 2.
Or Gundam.
Or Gundam.
Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that.
The Witch from Mercury, yeah.
But it's I don't know. I'm really enjoying Chainsaw Man. I'm super curious where it's going to go. I'm sure it's not going to be a happy ride by any means, but this is our show. This is our kind of show for sure.
Yeah, I think even if like you're just not part of like the anime zeitgeist and you're not aware of like, oh, this show is coming by this studio and it's hyped because the manga is popular and people are hyped. You know what I mean? If you're not on that train and you're just discovering Chainsaw Man kind of organically, like Grant and I heard about Jujutsu Kaisen while it was airing, and everyone said it was great, and it's like, okay, good, we'll get to it when we can. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people, like the anime community is so extremely hype on this, but this is going to be a good show like a couple years down the line that like anime fans of the future will like stumble on.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's just gonna be a straight banger, and I bet it'll be so fun to binge. I'm already so curious where a lot of the plot points go. I will say, like you were talking about the fantasy romance stuff, that whole angle of like Denji's motivations are a little erotic.
Sure. Yeah.
We talk about this on the podcast a lot, how we're not really fans of fan service. This is that, but also not really. It's done in a slightly different way. I don't know if that means it's okay, but I do know it didn't bother me as much.
So far, but I think...
Slippery slope, though, right?
Yeah, it always is. But I find the interesting thing with... is it Denji or Denji? Sorry, I keep... it's only been 2 episodes. But anyway, the main character there.
Oh, no. I have it spelled both ways in my notes.
I think it might be Denji, but...
I think it's Denji.
I think it's interesting because we don't, even though we kind of know his character, we don't really know. I think they've kind of left some breadcrumbs along the way that who he is now is not who he was before he was killed. Right? And I think there's a couple little things in this episode where, like, I think, in mind and spirit it's him, but there's some things, maybe this is it out here. And, again, no spoilers, please. No one fuck us up for this. But, I'm almost wondering, like, because she keeps referencing him as like, like woof, or like you're a dog and all that. And I know like they called him that in the first episode, like the Yakuza guys were doing that. But is it like too on the nose that, Pochita being a part of him, being like that dog or that devil dog affected the way people see him or how he acts, because, like he's clearly a weird dude.
No, I don't think that's too on the nose at all. In fact, that's kind of like a bit of an animeism. It might end up being that way. I think there's a decent chance that it will. I do. So
I think, the best thing for a new show like this is, there's no oh shit moment yet. There's nothing like, like what is the sticking power of the show? Like, I'm sure there's going to be a moment, like probably in 3 or 4 episodes where we're just like, holy fuck. Like, this is what the show is all about. This is what the fans were in for. But I still think they're doing a good job before those moments to kind of keep people guessing. Like, there's like the back and forth between him and Aki. Aki doesn't like him. They, did a quick throw. Because that's the thing. Like, if you compare it to Jujutsu Kaisen, Megumi would be like, the parallel to this Aki guy. Megumi, like, we kind of have some backstory, but it's all kind of hidden. We're going to find out eventually.
And even then, like, they get tossed into the same dorm in, like, episode 2. Like, there's, like, very similar scenes. Now, like, to be fair, there's a lot of, like, tropes that they're also just hitting. They're both shonens. So, like, maybe that's an eventuality where this will happen, but it is eerily similar.
No, but, like, I think I like the fact that, like, I like Jujutsu Kaisen for what it is, but I do like this show is just, like, they're kind of just upfront with, like, the rival character of, I have this backstory, I don't like devils because blank, so it's, we're not really left guessing the stuff, they're trying to be upfront with certain things, and we'll find some stuff along the way. But it's strong episode 2. Like, it's good follow up. Like, it almost feels like they back to back.
Yeah.
It almost feels like if they had put this out as a 1 hour episode, it would have would have rolled together nice. So
yeah, well put. That is a good point. I think you have a good, like, one thing I'm noticing is they're kind of doing like I can't help but think of Jujutsu Kaisen. They're kind of doing the like Itadori thing where Itadori's backstory isn't touched on after like basically the second episode. It's pretty like, here are my character motivations. I'm going to help those who are less fortunate because it was my dying grandfather's last wish, who also was going to reveal some mystery about my lineage, but then I told him I didn't care, and he died. And that's like what drives him. And then like we don't really bring that up, and that's fine because Itadori develops like a personality. And he has his own, like, just things change as he grows. It feels like episode 1 and 2 of Chainsaw Man were like, look at his kind of sad existence. And he's sort of a victim of circumstance, but then also sort of rewarded in this like dark pact. But like he is also, and he's aware of that, and so he may as well have been looking in the camera, being like, my life used to be bad, but this is great. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm just gonna live this way because it's fantastic. So it's like I'm fine with all that. I just want to know, all right, what's the story? Where are we going?
He's also used excellently as Yuji, like comedy wise, like the time, like the voice actor. I think this is the voice actor's first major role.
Really?
Yeah, for Denji. I remember like when the show was not announced, but like when the first trailer came out, they only had announced a couple of the voice actors, and the big one was who's going to be Denji, and it was a nobody. So everyone's like, oh, okay, here we go, and I think he's great. Like it's weird how well the voice matches the face.
Yeah, I liked everybody that was introduced. I liked Aki/Hayakawa, whatever his name is, Makima, and Power. I liked all three of them. All their character designs are really cool.
I definitely need more of Power, like voice wise. Yeah. Like, it was kind of a lot of yelling and jumping around and kind of action scenes with her. So I'm sure the more, but she's definitely the wild card for sure. Which they're always fun in these shows.
Yeah. Okay, we got to talk about Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Episode 8, the finale of season 1. Here's your spoiler alert. Like, we're gonna discuss the entire plot, our thoughts. What are you doing here if you haven't seen it, or you just don't care? Whatever. So I want to start. I think I usually defer to Grant to start real quick because he is kind of the resident Lord of the Rings lore expert. Well, when I say that, I mean he just knows more than I. Like, he's read more of it than I have. I've read, I think, the first 2 books of the actual Lord of the Rings series, but nothing more. So I will say this, because it seems to be, well, no, it doesn't seem to be. It is quite controversial, and there's a lot of negativity out there. And I will say, especially as someone who was, like, definitely maybe overly critical of Game of Thrones, I'm speaking of myself here, when it finished, and Grant and I, we've been a part of many internet controversies, with Attack on Titan and CG, and just watching things underperform and people lose their friggin' minds about it. The Last Jedi comes to mind. You know what I mean? Every now and again, the internet sort of unifies Obi-Wan and rears its ugly head of hate. So here's what I'll start with. I want to say that I watched this episode. I had a mostly good time. I don't want to take away from the fact that I think they accomplished the mission of world building and getting a extremely high value, extremely high production value piece of fantasy on the screen, on the small screen. I think that's an achievement, and like the genre is better for it, and I am looking forward to season 2. I did not finish the finale angry. I finished it like kind of like, okay, that was goodish, but there are like some problems. And then so I was like, okay, well, here are my problems with them, and I sort of listed them, and I'm sure you have your own, and we'll talk about it. But then I like kind of looked at the internet, and it's like people are like, can you believe this? It is a war crime. So I just wanted to start us off and say, you know what? Like, I enjoyed it. There's like some shaky ground, and there's some issues here that we got to get into, and some decision making and some fucking pacing issues.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not getting on my pitchfork. But I will also acknowledge I don't have the relationship with this that I did, that maybe you do or other people do.
Well,
so I wanted to start there, but on the whole, Grant, maybe your turn. What do you think? And then we can go through the nitty gritty. I
I had a very passive experience with the show. I enjoyed it every week. I looked forward to it every week. But there was just a couple things. At no point was there like no bad taste in my mouth with this show, which I think, it's like, it's not like, that's what shows should expect out of their fans now, or hope they should get out of their fans. But especially with like IPs like this and big historical lore, it's kind of hard not to have a little bit of an edge to it, right? And at no point was I just like, ugh, like,
sure.
So like there was with the finale, there was nothing blatantly wrong. I really, really, really liked the Nori wrap up. I think that's the most Lord of the Rings the show has been since maybe the pilot.
That's so funny.
It's so like it's. I
hated that part so much.
No, I know. There's moments of it that are exceedingly ham-fisted and a little too popcorny. But like as a whole, I think it was fun. I've enjoyed their story. I think they should have more of them. The Easter eggs were fun, but. As a whole, like, it was good. It's the same thing. Like, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna watch season 2.
Okay, so that was kind of my question because, like, you kind of had more to lose maybe in this show than I did, because I was just sort of like along for the ride, and I just remember like if you're a vested person who likes the lore, then you have that pressure of like, are they gonna do this thing that matters to me justice, or are they gonna bastardize it? I think that is it fair to say, Grant, you kind of had that experience with The Witcher, like.
Oh, big time! I think The Witcher was a bigger offender than even anything Lord of the Rings.
I mean, The Witcher. I think your experience with The Witcher was like it was so different to what you liked that you didn't even watch it. Like, didn't you give up pretty early?
Out. Yeah, I got 2 or 3 episodes in the first season, and I stopped after the first one. The second one.
Right. Okay.
2, yeah.
So you gave it like both seasons a chance, and just no bueno.
The same thing. It was just repeating the same thing. It had the same look, had the same tone, and just kind of it's you can't always take word for word from a novel series. And Lord of the Rings is the same.
So let's talk about maybe some of your cons. If in mine, our cons. If you have a ton, I think.
Oh, I don't have a ton. No.
Okay, I think, and we gave you a spoiler warning, so don't come crying to me. I'm talking to the audience there, not you, Grant. Sorry. I think there are a couple big plot holes or questions I have that just more or less feel like both inconsistencies and pacing issues. Like I think for a good example is like we spent more time saying goodbye to Nori, which was like 50% of her screen time in the season, than we did with the Sauron reveal.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I don't want to say it dragged. Well, it did drag. And the thing is, like, it was like a good... It felt like they earned a goodbye that long. Like, this should be emotional. But I think most viewers are like, so what are these people's names again?
Yeah.
And, with the guy dying and her going off, and it was like, what's... Like, I get it, and I am excited for that pair in season 2. I am excited to see what Nori gets up to. But, like, the goodbye absolutely dragged.
So, okay, I think, in my opinion, there's moments in the goodbye and kind of like the lead up to that, but I genuinely believe there's no chemistry in the entire show, even as close as that group of all the Harfoot stuff. Like, the family that genuinely felt like a real family, the relationship between Nori and her dad was like top tier, dad and daughter TV. Like even I think this, like the stranger stuff.
Who was her dad?
Sorry?
Her dad was in that?
Yeah, like the dude that like busted his ankle.
Oh yes, I forgot.
The mom, and then I think it's Penny. See, I don't even know her name off heart.
Yeah.
The best friend. But like, I think they had tremendous chemistry, and like that was it felt like a genuine goodbye. Like that scene could have been so much more awkward and unbelievable.
Fair point.
As long in the tooth as it may have been, it was believable, and I thought it was chemistry wise, it was all great. But I don't buy all the stranger stuff. Like the connection to them is like he was around and he helped them out, but I feel like there could have been more with him and everyone else. But
I would agree with that. I also, just while we're here on the stranger, like I'm more or less fine with the reveal.
Like it's Gandalf, right?
Of it being Gandalf. Yeah. I think the twist of where they called the Mystics, the 3 elves in white, whatever you want to call them. Yep. The twist of them thinking he's Sauron.
That was pretty cool.
Was cool. And then him like flipping it on its head. and then him like literally quoting the book and the movie to confirm his identity. All of that is fine to me. I think my main complaint is like, why pace it this way? Why do this in the finale? Like, it was all resolved so fast that he's a buffoon who can barely speak at the beginning of the episode, and now he's like speaking Middle Earth at the end.
Yeah.
Well, like, where did he learn to speak in all this? And how is that? You know what I mean? He learned to speak.
They did have a line of like, you know, the veil over you has kind of like kept you stunted a little bit. So maybe it was there, but you know that kind of had to go away for him.
Yeah.
I think he came pre-programmed. You know, just had to wait for some of the stuff to boot up. That's the way I was looking at it. But I think for me in that kind of some of the fire was taken out of it. It was so obvious. Like there's him being Sauron didn't fit. You know, like him joining that side, it was just kind of like, oh, this is going to flip around. He's a good guy. Like, it was, you know, they really shot it to be, like, much more epic and more sad than when we all knew it was just going to flip in a moment.
Yeah.
You know, so it's... And like I said, that whole scene takes place, like, in, 3 minutes?
It just happened so fast. And then at the end, he's like, it just... I don't know why that all had to be in one episode. And, and here's the last pacing one, really, for me, is, like, this... The Halbrand reveal, I am mostly fine with. I think you can see evidence throughout the show. It tracks very well. I just don't love his ability to manipulate the elves, meet the elves, manipulate the elves, get in, get out, within 30 minutes of like screen time. Like, I think that it was just remarkably rushed. You know what I mean? And I don't want to harp on the Nori Harfoot thing. It's just like in this show, like you're gonna do the Gandalf twist, reveal, misdirect. He's Sauron. No, wait, no, he's not. Boom! Now Gandalf is here, and we're going on a journey. And then also we're gonna forge the rings. We're gonna get Halbrand in there. He's gonna introduce himself. They're gonna be fine with him lurking about and giving them advice, even though he's a human and they're supposed to be the best smiths ever. And then he's gonna, you know what I mean? Like infiltrate, manipulate. His identity will be revealed, even though Galadriel had supposedly checked it out already. But like that's a whole like what? What did you check in the first place? And then she rejects him, and then he leaves. But for some reason, she doesn't tell Elrond about it. Like I'm sure there are answers to some of these. It just so much happened in one episode.
It feels like the premiere of season 2 is going to be a lot of. There's all this stuff that we dropped on you, and like now let's dissect it. And I don't think that's going to be a fun way to open up a new season of this show. Who knows how soon we're going to get it, but it definitely felt like we have, and not in a typical season finale way, like you know, with a show that's clearly continuing. It just feels like we have more answers of stuff we kind of know, but it's just like how are they going to land it more. It's not that we have questions about like what's this going to mean. It's more like, well, what did you mean, you know, with that? So it's, I don't know, it's it'll be interesting to see season 2, but
man, you know who I was really hoping, tell me if this would be cool in a different way. I was so hoping the stranger was Saruman.
I thought, because they make a line of the wise, and like, is it not Saruman the wise? So
yeah, it is.
That would have been a cool, you know, like they kind of teed up their darkness was there, but you know, he was a good guy for a long time. You know, so that would have tracked, but I don't know. It's funny. You know, I mostly enjoyed the episode. Now we're here talking about it. I kind of just feel like, oh, what the fuck?
No, I didn't mean to shit on it.
No. But it's just when you sit down. That's the nice thing about, you know, having the show is we can dissect these things.
Well,
see what you miss and what you don't miss.
Here's the thing, right? Is like I watched it. I had fun. I saw some holes. And I was like, those holes are okay. I can live with them. I will watch season 2. And I'm still excited about season 2, and I'm still happy we watched season 1. You look to the internet, and it's like everything's on fire. It's like... Yeah. And it definitely, like, took my peg down of enjoying it a little bit. Like, I think we got to recognize, like, we talk about it. We would talk about it every week. Like, the girl who plays Galadriel is so good. I think Halbrand works. The guy playing him works. Yeah. You know... Maybe a little shade, like could have been handled better yes, it always can. Also, why didn't we get confirmation that Isildur is alive? He's clearly alive.
Yeah, the horse running off. I think that was the horse running off. And that was just their way of doing that. But
yeah, peculiar.
I'm bummed we didn't get more Adar. Like a one...
Dude, I really hope he's back.
Definitely. It has to be.
He was so good. Yo, do you remember when Halbrand cuts him off for Galadriel, and he's got him on the back, and he goes, "Do you remember me?"
Yeah.
Doesn't that make sense now? Because Adar apparently cut him open.
Yep. So Adar wasn't lying. He said he killed Sauron.
Yeah. So apparently they. Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very interesting. I want more. I'm excited for more. Mm-hmm. Okay, should we get into House of the Dragon, episode 8?
Mm-hmm.
I have one question for you, two actually.
Okay.
Going into House of the Dragon, episode 8, did you know that this one was directed by Quentin Tarantino?
What?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Oh, okay. Oh, now I see.
Okay, in case you didn't get it, I have a follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
One of our favorite characters, Otto Hightower. Now, if Otto Hightower is the hand, is his daughter Alicent the feet?
Sick fuck.
Sorry. All right, yeah. So, that's all we got.
That's all you can talk about. Some stuff happened, but that was the juice right there, apparently.
Interesting. Okay, good episode.
Do you want to jump right into that? Because I don't fully understand that scene.
Which part?
Well, him serving to himself when she's like taking her clothes off. Was that them of saying
you've never tried that?
Oh my god!
Sorry. Did we cut that? I don't know.
No.
Leave it.
Leave it. Keep it rolling. Is that like assuming that he's been like kind of holding the whole killing of the strong thing over her, and he's like pulling shit like that, or is that just him like pulling a greasy move in the moment? I guess there's no real way of knowing.
Well, yeah,
it seemed way too relaxed a scene,
Yeah. What I definitely got from it, and I don't know about you, and I don't know about everyone else, I absolutely gleaned that this is an exchange that they have done before.
Sure.
And like how you interpret that, like, is he threatening her? I don't think so. I think it's like this is his thing, and she knows that, and he's a useful tool. And he also said, like, suggestively, though at the time I don't think we thought about it suggestively then in this way, but like she's when he killed what was it, the Strongs, with the fire, he goes, "Oh, I know you'll find a way to repay me." I think my inclination, and probably many people, were thinking, oh, he would like wants something political, like he wants maybe he wants his own keep one day, or maybe a seat on the small council, or like some political intrigue or motivation. Maybe it's just purely this. I mean, it's a queen, I don't know.
Yeah, I still like Laris is kind of like my big question mark still by the end, and not specifically this scene, but kind of like what again his goal, because if he was gunning for like a seat on the small council, like do you think? I think that at this point he might have earned it, maybe.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that like he's suited to what he's doing, and I think he knows that.
Sure.
Like he comes like he's already technically powerful and like wealthy because he comes from that family, right? And he lives in the so I think this is just what he wants to do. He's very Varys-y, like the master of whispers and assassins, but also maybe a little more self-interested. I don't know, but I it's dirty and I like it.
Very Game of Thrones. Can't disagree with that. It's very of Westerosi edgeness,
Yeah. It feels like most of the episode, other than that, like that was like a really big thing that I'm sure HBO is happy to have. They're like, oh, this is gonna trend. Yeah. Bunch of suits in a meeting. Can you guys work some feet into the plot? We have a feeling that Feetgate could be big in fall of 22.
We called it.
Yeah. But other than that, it's mostly just about Alicent and Otto Hightower. Otto Hightower primarily organizing this like usurping of the throne. Rhaenyra and Daemon aren't even in the episode, are they?
So that's one of the things I wanted to talk. Like, it's a great episode. Obviously, I think they're going to do the he said she said episodes. Like, this was all about the High Towers and everyone at the at King's Land near the Red Keep. But by the end of the episode, it just kind of shows the power of the performance. I'm blanking on her name, but
Rhaenys?
Rhaenyra.
Yes.
Not having her in the episode, like I felt it, like her and Damon. Like, I think they bring so much.
Oh yes.
To each episode. There's just such a good balance between Allison and Rhaenyra.
Allison,
so it's
they
having it. Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say you're right. They've built that duality very well.
Yeah. So and I think that's the intention of the episode. Kind of very like one dimensional in a certain way, but
maybe they'll do just Rhaenyra and Daemon next episode, and like
I think that's what they're gonna.
Or maybe just primarily.
Primarily, because I think it would be weird for them not to. Or you never know. Like they could just
finale.
Just do it completely that, and maybe at the last episode, kind of have a. It probably won't be a face-off next episode, but goddamn, Kristen Cole, I'm so tired of this guy's shit. It was so funny. We had our group text this weekend. We're all kind of just bagging on Kristen, but
no, he's my guy.
Oh, he's such a piece of shit.
I'm so cool. I'm so fine with him just abusing people. I gotta be honest.
No, I know. Perfect casting. Like the
really good.
That guy, yeah.
Doesn't age, but that's fine. I liked the Lord of the Kingsguard resigning and refusing to kill people. That was a badass move.
That happened in Game of Thrones too.
Yeah, very reminiscent of Barristan Selmy.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't resign. They like retire him because political, but still, he like has this badass like walkout scene.
Mm-hmm.
What about Medieval Daycare Fight Club?
Oh my god. That was they sharpened their teeth. I'm like, what?
Jesus. God. Did you need to make this more gory? Like it's already a children deathmatch.
Also, I love the immediate episode follow up of is it Helena? Like the dreamer, like the current dreamer. She's always kind of thrown off prophetic lines, and she made the reference of the beast beneath the boards, and just my god, that's the thing. Like Aegon is clearly like we had seen the previous episode, where he raped the
handmaiden,
the handmaiden. Like we've had scenes of him kind of being, him jerking off in the window and kind of being weird and gross and evil,
damaged, all kinds of twisted, yeah.
But it seems like not that with this whole thing, like this being his main hangout and doing all these things, it's not that it doesn't feel on brand, but like when we see him on screen, he's like not. He doesn't put off like Joffrey vibes, Like he just seems like not a normal person, but like so it's kind of weird to associate all these things that he said he's done and to not have like a like a truly evil vision of him. You know what I mean? Like it's
you're
I don't know if that's
totally
intentional.
right. You're totally right.
But.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like if that is like you said intentional, because they talk about him like he's a monster. But his screen time, like you said, is quite reserved.
It's maybe waking up and being woken up in bed, or drunk and kind of tucked away. It's.
I wonder if we see him quote come into his own and like really get dirty and abuse his power. I gotta say, again, not knowing how this happens in the books, it might feel like a little too reminiscent of Game of Thrones if we watch him just like get corrupted by the power the way Joffrey did. You know what I mean? Like, oh look, like another young blonde boy.
Yeah.
No, but you know what I mean? Because like a war is about to break, right? They could very easily decide that he's not going to sit the throne. He'll be a ward or something, or he could die early.
Yeah, there's that too. Well, I think just the way this episode ended up, just moments before Rhaenys kind of, crashes the party or whatever. But he's like eating up all the praise. So I think maybe that was his real entrance to his character.
Yeah,
the real, his personality. But
I'm curious.
So that would be, like if we do get that next episode, and it is just based on, the Rhaenyra's side of the Targaryens. If we don't see him, like I guess we'll have to wait to season 2 for that potentially. So
likely.
Yeah.
So I guess we're relatively well set up for an explosive finale. You have to assume Rhaenys heads over to see Daemon and Co. and Rhaenyra, and then it's like strategy and war and
run into her mid-flight because Rhaenyra said she was coming right back.
Yeah, I think so. I'm curious like how this works. Because we said last week on the pod. GRRM, George R. R. Martin, confirmed like this is 4 episodes, or 4 seasons, 10 episodes rather, or at least he very heavily says it to do it justice. That's what it will require, but he kind of said it in an authoritative way that seems to suggest that's what it is, unless something goes terribly wrong. So I'm curious, like how do we pace this? Is it just going to be war for 3 seasons? Because that's kind of
the best seasons of Game of Thrones was like all at war, right? You know, kind of like the ins and outs and the side stories. Like
2 through 4.
During the war, yeah.
Okay, that's Hot D. Mob Psycho?
Mob Psycho. Let's do it.
I don't know. I look like. How about you go? You go.
Well, were you just gonna say like there's not much to talk about?
Yeah, like I feel like I felt last week, which is like we're watching Mob grow up, and I haven't felt that way in seasons 1 and 2. Like he obviously has milestones in those seasons, but like it feels like he's kind of rapidly aging. That might just be me looking too closely.
So remember, in both seasons 1 and 2, nothing plot-wise truly kicks off till after his first explosion.
Yes, that's a good point.
So you know, I think by the end of this episode, he's at like 41%. And, you know, if you remember in season 1, he kind of does like 40 to 100. And in season 2, I think it's like a similar range. It's like 60 to 100.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think, you know, it's there, it's coming. All I could say is like, Serizawa is one of the best, like, you know, late game players to come in for
it's really hard to do that in an anime, and they nailed it.
And especially in the cast that, like, they're, you know, it is quite diverse, but when it comes to core cast, it's pretty tight. It's like, you know, 5 or 6.
But I've never felt like they needed more. You know what I mean? And they have this guy, and it just works.
Yeah, perfect. Just like the whole, like, the Office thing. And the scene of them throwing down... the whole bit of Reagan and is it Hanakawa, the guy, the yokai hunter, coming in, and he's like... You're not making sense. Like, you know, just repeat yourself. And of course, like, Reagan's listening, and when money gets involved, he like repeats the whole speech back to him perfectly. Fuck, I love Reagan. But I don't know, the throwdown in the basement, or from like the callback to season 1, you know, with the butt chin.
Oh yeah,
the guy outside. I don't think it's that. It's the butt chin guys outside. But no, just like them throwing down with the 100, you know, yokai in the basement. And just animation is like through the roof, and just the little details, the color, and the, you know, the fluidity of the scenes. And then you go back and it's just like, you know, slice of life in the school. They're doing their friggin' show, and I like the progression of Mob. You know, I love the show. I love the character. So it's. But like I said, I 100% know you mean it. There's just not much there yet. Yeah,
but like I want to be clear. I don't. That's not necessarily a complaint. There's maybe not a lot to, not a ton to dissect right now. I'm just happy that it's on again, and happy to be watching it caught up. And like the overwhelming feeling that I'm kind of pulling, or the tone that I'm pulling from these first couple episodes, is just that Mob's slowly growing up. Mm-hmm. And is it even like this episode where he's like, yeah, you know, I don't want to do this forever? Yep. Or is that the pilot?
I think it's the pilot. I think in this one, Reagan has a line of, oh wait, he figured something out on his own.
Yes.
He didn't need me.
That was the moment where I was like, oh right, like he's not falling to pieces anymore, and this is good. It's really, really fun to watch his character evolution. All right, let's break up some of your rambling with some news here, Grant. Are you aware of this movie, Amsterdam?
I know it's, you know, it's kind of been panned a little bit there, but I think David Russell's been on the way out for quite a while. But
like, so Amsterdam is a 2022 movie. I think it had an $80 million budget. Pretty big cast, like
huge cast.
Christian Bale, Taylor Swift, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Anya Taylor-Joy, Robert De Niro, Rami Malek, Mike Myers, Chris Rock, Zoe Saldana, Timothy Olyphant. I was just gonna go until I didn't recognize names, but like it's still going. Michael Shannon. What is going on? Holy hell! So, really big movie, having a bit of a time right now at the box office. It's really funny. This really reminds me of that question that we had on the Q&A a couple weeks back about like why don't they make movies like they used to.
Amsterdam. Well, I think Amsterdam's not good. I think that's
that's a very different problem. But what I meant like was like every now and again, like they did assemble talent and they did clearly give this a swing. And I don't know if we can use the same excuse and say the problem is that it's not a franchise movie, because critics will have you believe that that's definitely not the problem. But it's like it made $18 million.
Yeah, that's not. And there was I wish I had
worldwide, by the way.
But a movie just came out either this past weekend or the weekend before. And it's it's the new George Clooney movie with Julia Roberts. It's crushing. Early numbers are like it's doing really really well, and so people are already comparing it because I think what's the Billy Eichner movie that just came out, Bros? Like I guess that bombed. That bombed, and apparently like I don't even think the George Clooney movie is fully out yet. It did like an early release, and it just crashed. So it's like
what's gobbling things up right now is that Halloween Ends movie.
Oh, horror movies always do well, especially in October.
Yeah, they I think I saw a headline today. There's been 6 just this year that have grabbed like top 3.
Horror movies sell.
Yeah, it's funny because they're such bad movies. But anyway,
oh my god.
No, I'm kidding. But that is nuts. So I just wanted to mention Amsterdam. I guess I won't watch it. I don't know what to tell you.
Let's watch it and see. We'll catch it on streaming there. And...
Catch it on streaming and see, and then we'll come back to this and see if all the
a lot of people I trust didn't have kind words to say about it. So
what my problem was, which is like maybe an arguably bigger problem, is like I didn't fucking hear about it. I didn't know like, what is that? Christian Bale movie, and like try and tell me that there's 10 A-list stars in there, and I somehow don't know about it. It's like what? I don't know. All right, Dune Part 2 coming 2 weeks earlier. Oh, you know why that's happening, eh?
Because is it Blade or is it?
It was Blade was delayed,
okay.
And now it has since been delayed indefinitely.
Yeah, well, they were supposed to, it was 2 weeks time, or I guess it would have been next week. They were supposed to start shooting.
Yeah, and they lost their writer or director?
Director. So I think the script had to do with him, so like they're doing rewrites and stuff like that. But
tough.
That is tough. Did you ever watch the original Blade movies
with Wesley? Yes, it wasn't. Didn't like Ryan Reynolds kind of get his like a standout part in one of those? Yeah, just like comedically.
Third one, yeah, he was like a werewolf or something.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I think.
Yeah.
So yes, I saw them. I don't know if I remember them being great. Were they good?
Well, like I think for the time, this was like way before like any like the comic book stuff, So like, I think they predate Iron Man by quite a bit, But like at the time, like, they were awesome. I think Guillermo del Toro made one of them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I believe so, or he wrote it. I know he was involved in some way, but yeah, they're great. Wesley Snipes is the shit. Taxi on his side. He's good shit.
Okay, there's a bunch of like superhero news coming up that we're going to talk about. So before we talk about the superhero MCU Warner Brothers DC news, we got to bring up Scorsese. Because he hates these people. He saw the news that I'm going to break here, and he was like, you know what? Let's go to the small screen. So they can't follow us there. Those Disney Plus shows are sucking.
Yeah.
But no, he's going to EP and potentially direct several episodes of a Gangs of New York series.
Fucking A. Let's go.
Are you signed up for that?
100%. He, I think last time he did a show like this, well, no. He did that vinyl show with Bobby Cannavale a few years back. Nope. I don't think that did well. But he was heavily involved in Boardwalk Empire happening.
Was he really?
Yeah. Him and Terrence Winter.
Did you watch that?
Fuck yeah.
Is it good?
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Really? Never seen a single episode.
Oh my god. Friggin' Steve Buscemi is dynamite in that show.
What about Billions?
Also, the guy played Billions. Never watched that.
Okay. Yeah. Just curious. But Boardwalk Empire is where to go.
Oh, fuck yeah. For sure.
Interesting.
What's his name? Charlie Cox? Daredevil? He has...
Is he really in that?
Oh, yeah. He's in it, I think, from like the middle season towards the end. He's in that, and he is a screen stealer anytime when he's there. So, yeah, it's good shit.
Dude, just while we're on Suits, we're still into Mad Men. We just started season 2.
Oh, nice.
And
Where it gets real good.
Yeah, I'm picking up so much more on Mad Men. I feel like I pick up more things every time I watch it. And one that I remember, and I semi-consciously knew this, or I think I knew this, but now I'm looking for them. And it's true. Roger Sterling has the best one-liners of any character in every show. It's like, or in maybe any show, but especially in this show. Like, it feels like anytime the writers had like a quip or like a funny thing or like just a clever, you know what I mean, remark that could be taken a couple of different ways. They were like, okay, we got to write that and put that in for Roger Sterling's character. And spoiler alert for Madman, like I think in the later seasons he writes a book called Sterling's Gold. Yeah. And you can actually buy it, and it's a real book. Really? It's a real book just of his one-liners.
Oh my god.
Just of the funny shit his character has said.
That is a great fucking coffee table book.
Yeah. And you can use the promo code Otaku10. No, I'm kidding. You cannot. But if you would like to, maybe harass them on our behalf. Okay, yeah. So now there's superhero news.
Superhero news. Yeah, no. But anyways,
you tell us.
I'm just saying the Scorsese thing is funny. Like, he can shit talk all the superhero stuff, which has been lackluster, and he's probably going to come swinging in with this show and probably knock it out of the park. But so this is news to me. I completely missed this. Man of Steel 2 is in development.
This just came from the studio. Like, no date, no Henry Cavill one. Like, just like, yeah, we're working.
No verified that Cavill's involved?
No verified that Cavill's involved, but they also didn't verify, like, anything. They, like, it was an offhanded remark that they, like, officially, but they've committed, more or less. Like, yeah, we're working on it.
So that was a stockholder announcement?
Yeah. Okay. So no, I mean, I don't know that for sure, to be, like, I just saw it, and I verified several other places are reporting it, but with very scant on the details. I have to assume it's Cavill. Like, they're calling it Man of Steel 2. They're not going to recast Superman.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know. In the whole, just the landscape of DC right now, you never know. Yeah. More DC. Matt Reeves is doubling down. My boy. I wish he was making the Apes movies and not these, but he's making more series and movies based off Batman villains.
It's so funny, dude, because like if you're Warner Brothers, like I told you about the story about James Gunn and the Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
Like the story for the listener is like, obviously there was the original Suicide Squad, and then James Gunn redid it, and it's a significantly better movie. But like the origin story is that like after he was fired from Disney / the MCU, like Warner Brothers was knocking on his door the next day and said like, we'll give you literally any character. Yeah. They're like, want to do Superman? Do Superman. You want to do Batman? Do a Batman movie. And him being James Gunn was like, no, I want to do like very weird abstract characters like Polka Dot Man and Suicide Squad. But the idea being like they knew they had found talent, and they, based off that decision, they immediately greenlit a Peacekeeper television show.
So good. One of the best things from last year.
Which is one of the best. It's probably the best superhero show. It's rated R on HBO. I recommend it. And they're already doing season 2, and he's going to direct all the episodes. Like, my point is, they have not been as, I don't know if spoiled is the word. They haven't been as fortunate as Marvel has. And part of that, a lot of that is their fault, right? Like, a lot of people blame studio interference with Suicide Squad 1. But anyway, the point is with Suicide Squad 2 and Matt Reeves is the Batman, it seems like Warner Brothers is really getting out of people's way. And they're just like, yeah, if you want more, like, please take all of our IP. Like, just, we need more. Like, we're talking about, what is it, a couple weeks ago? They're like, hey, we're working on a 10-year plan.
Yeah, so like...
they need to invest.
Because there's all this controversy with the Discovery Warner Brothers merger. Like, and everything was kind of up in the air. So, like, and I remember Matt Reeves has come out and saying, like, no one has, like, said I'm even, like, been given the go to do anything on Batman. So, like, does that mean that's all remedied? And like,
no idea. No idea. I remember the false start that Matt Reeves got, though, like, in the news. It's like, oh, yeah, they're confirmed to be doing number 2. And then a couple weeks later, he's like, okay, but we're not working on it. Like, everything's on pause. So maybe this is just another couple of things that they've greenlit but aren't going to touch until paperwork and ink is dry. I don't know.
Lawyers.
Speaking of old men, Harrison Ford has been cast as Thunderbolt Ross in Captain America 4, Captain America New World Order.
I never thought this would happen.
So... it's interesting. It's worth noting William Hurt passed away in March of earlier this year, and I didn't know that. And he was fantastic as Thunderbolt Ross.
Yep.
And
all went back to that first Hulk movie.
Yeah. So he's kind of the tie-in, and they're recasting him with Harrison Ford. Like, it's just... it feels like the last holdouts, many of the last holdouts, to the MCU-ification of the box office, like your Christian Bales... I hear like Cavill's gonna get involved hilariously.
Oh my gosh.
Like Harrison Ford, for Christ's sake. Like they're getting everyone left. Like they need what, Leo maybe?
Oh, there's no way Leo doesn't.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We're going to get to the point where you can count on one hand the number of A-list...
Who haven't done it,
as opposed to those who have. It's just if you're going to get Harrison Ford, it's interesting to me to put him in this role, but maybe he has... I mean, it's called New World Order, and he is a high-up military guy, so maybe it's a very heavily featured role.
So...
But then again, Harrison Ford's getting old as fuck. Like, how much screen time does he want?
Here's the thing, like... You know, I don't like, this isn't really sport. This is just things I've seen. I guess if you're listening, skip ahead like a minute. Like in the comics, Thunderbolt Ross, doesn't he become Red Hulk?
Yes.
So like, is Harrison Ford signing up for a whole mocap shebang?
There's
no.
Like,
I mean, put someone else in the suit.
I was gonna say they would just put another guy in the suit.
I just, it seems crazy to me. And he's been, like, so vocal about, like, I'm fucking done with this, I'm done with that.
Well, that's the thing, too. Like, he was so publicly elated to be killed as Han Solo.
Yeah.
And then he, like, he said one more indie movie. Like, he's kind of publicly, in not so many words, said, like, I'm kind of wrapping up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of getting ready. Like, he's kind of morosely said that. He wanted to finish Blade Runner on his terms. Mm-hmm. He wanted to wrap up Indiana Jones on his terms, and now this movie... Maybe it's just like one last check. I don't know. Or maybe a literal good check. Maybe just making good bank. I don't know. I don't know. I love that, like, me trying to rationalize Harrison Ford going into the MCU is like, oh, he's probably getting ready to die. Because you wouldn't do it otherwise.
Well, when he set that expectation for so long, right? So,
yeah. No, but anyway. We'll watch Cap 4. We will.
For sure. I'll watch all the movies. I am officially out on all the TV, though.
Yeah, dude.
I'll check out Daredevil, but that's it.
Yeah. I've seen some clips of how they did him in She-Hulk. I'm not loving that, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, it's going to be a completely different showrunner, obviously. Sure. And it's an 18 show or episode run for, it's a big chunk of content, so I might check that out. Crap, I was going to say something. Harrison Ford, Daredevil. Well, it's too late, Grant. We got to move on.
Go.
Okay. You want to get back into anime?
Yeah, it sucks on My Hero.
Let's talk some My Hero. I think this was a really, really good episode.
It's so funny because I knew it
My
was
Hero
coming.
Academia, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Talking about some Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
But,
do you have a Foo Fighters tattoo?
No, I don't.
What do you have? Well, I guess we should... I mean, you can tell me later if you want.
Yeah. I got a couple tattoos. Not a Foo Fighters one.
Interesting. You were just born with it? Like a big birthmark?
Yeah. Just the ray gun from the first record on my chest. Yeah. It's there.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's...
No, so obviously, like, I think you and I are both on the same page about the Hawks and the Twice stuff. Like, you and I were kind of all of the shit going on in season 5, that was definitely one of the things that piqued our interest of, like, we like these characters. They're having a little bit of back and forth, and they teed it up in this season. And Twice has been a very good villain, very reliable. He's had some, very interesting moments. Definitely one of the more nuanced villains in this show, because there is so many.
One of the more fleshed out ones, too.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, so I love that they've given him time, because, like, this wager that they've placed on, like, Twice matters to the story has totally worked.
Yes. I thought this was, like, 10 episodes from now. Like, I knew this was going to happen, because they kind of, they teed it up, I think, maybe last week or the week before. But to have this all go down right now, and Dobby showing up, and just like, let's dial up the animation. Dobby's here. Literally, he shows up with animation every time he's there. The Dobby scenes are always awesome.
Yeah, he's the Levi effect, right?
Yes.
If, like, that character has a combat scene, it's like, we're just dumping a lot of the budget on that.
And even Hawks, too, like, it was a lot of, like, quick cuts and him, like, slowly fading back in because he's so fucking fast. They must have reused that friggin' joke, like, 4 or 5 times in this episode with him. But, it was, again, there's not a whole lot to say because it was all pretty much focused on the Twice and the Hawks stuff. But,
yeah, I mean, there's some cool pairings that My Hero always does, like Fat and Dark Shadow. What's his name? I forget the kid's name who controls Dark Shadow, the bird boy there. Yeah. But, like, I loved that pairing. I loved the fact that, like, they came across Redestro accidentally. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh shit, I didn't expect these people to see these people and be together in this room. like that's just one of the things that My Hero does really, really well.
Mm-hmm. The end game effect, you know, like it's like the big battle. All the bads are on one side, all the good guys are on the other side. You know?
I mean, the last time we had this was like what, season 4 maybe or 3?
Yeah, when they're hunting Overhaul. Yeah.
Yeah, when they hunted Overhaul in season 4, and then in season 3 when All Might and all those guys were going after the League. Mm-hmm. They do this kind of stuff really well. It's frankly kind of weird to be like talking about My Hero Academia in such a positive way after last. Like, I'm kind of surprised that they pulled it out, but yeah, I'm happy to be enjoying it again.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, like, again, there's not like a whole lot. It's nothing like crazy substance. We're gonna get no super plot progression. It feels, you know, even though like I'm enjoying the episode, it feels like Dragon Ball. You know, it's like, all right,
a little bit. Yeah.
We'll be back here
I'll give
again next week. You know, and you know, we'll have half the episode here, but at least what we're seeing is enjoyable on the screen. But
I rather
not much has changed.
Yeah, you know, because it's tough with some of these shows, like that. You know, don't come at me, My Hero stands, but like where it's frankly like not the super extremely deep thing. You're either gonna get like, you know, some light story progression and maybe some character moments with like a hint of action, or you're going to get like an all action, all gas, no breaks kind of an episode that is like, you know what I mean? That just is like, all right, we're in the thick of it now. Fuck it. We've done enough build up. Time for fights. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's fight time. Okay.
You were talking about being checked out of things.
Okay.
Grant knows what I'm going to say next. Let's talk about Mobile Suit Gundam, The Wish from Mercury, Episode 3. Grant, don't make me watch any more of this.
You out?
I'd like to call an audible, and I would like to replace this with Desperate Housewives.
Oh my god, come on.
No, I'm kidding. It's not that bad. I don't think it's for me. Which is fine. I will say this. I took some very brief notes of this episode. I think it's a fun episode with some good animation and excitable music that culminates in a story about a girl making some new friends at her space high school.
I love it.
And it's just not for me.
No, I know. It's I will say, like, you know, the show has definitely been kind of skewing it. You know, I had sent you an article this weekend.
This is interesting. Talk about that.
Yeah, so the producer, I wasn't sure I think it was the producer of the show, and like right in the tagline just straight up said, like, yeah, young people think Gundam's for old fogies, like, so we're kind of skewing to a younger audience because, you know, we want to stay relevant, and, you know, like it's a much more. I read it on the Anime News Network website. It's a very good read, and I definitely, you know, maybe, I don't know, can we like put a link to it?
Yeah, we can
in the feed. So I think it's a very good read, but it just kind of shows how, you know, people grow older every day, and, you know, and when the genre tends to change and form out, and I think, you know, like I said, from the last one I watched, Iron Blood Orphans, which is, you know, amazing, fantastic, which is, I think, more your speed for sure. To this, like, you know, it still has some stuff, you know, that you can, you know, parallels and all that, but it definitely, this is more modern. Like, this is definitely skewed for young people, and it makes sense. And to see the producers just like flat out admit it, it's kind of refreshing. And just be like, yeah, of course, like, we need more fans.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you're right. It's like, it's still Gundam. It's the same IP. It's the same world. It's a certain story.
The politics are there. Yeah. You know,
but you're right. Like, they don't often say that. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, would it be weird if they were all like, yes, we are trying to capture the 12 to 22 base specifically? Like, it might be weird if they always said that, but I don't know.
I think you can say it as much as you want, but at the end of the day, if you stick to your guns on what the heart of the show is, like with the, you know, the history of it, and then you do have this focus on a newer audience, that doesn't hurt anyone. You know, like, as long as the spirit of the show is still there.
Right.
If they're saying this, you know, every other show is saying, yeah, we're trying to target this crowd, and then it's like clearly just like a blown out, you know, dead at the knees, you know, adaptation of what a show once was, and that's a whole other different thing, but. I think as long as the spirit of the show is there, who cares? You know, like, you know, people were watching it back in the day. They were young too. Like, it's just times have changed. People are interested in different genres. It's a good blending of genres.
Definitely a new spin. I wonder how the community is feeling about it. Like the Gundam hardcores.
Well,
do you
like
know?
I said,
Have you checked?
I've been reading the subreddit, and people are really enjoying it.
Yeah.
You know, or not the subreddit, but the
Anime
thread
sub?
on the just the discussion thread on our anime there. Like, people are enjoying it. You know, like there's like little gripes, but nothing major. It's very. I think this is one of like the more popular shows. Like, if you look at the like, is it Mal, like my anime list, the weekly stuff, it's killing. It's in the top 5. Like,
well, there you go.
Every week so far, so people are enjoying it.
Well, there you go. Maybe a mission accomplished then. Yeah. Okay, Spy Family. What are we at? Episode, is this 15? Wasn't last 15. Week 15?
Yeah.
No, it's 15.
I think it's 15.
So CGI cars.
Oh my god.
And to be fair, I think Chainsaw Man CGI'd its cars as well, which is fine.
We should start a fund for all, like, just...
I wonder...
All the money raised goes towards various animation studios and getting their cars figured out.
God.
Because it's so jarring.
Did we talk about this Bayonetta thing? Was that last week? Did you hear about this? The voice actor?
Yeah.
Good lord. Did we talk about it on the podcast?
Well, something came out today. I think it's a little it's a little more convoluted than what was originally stated.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just say the initial report was this it was the English voice actor, right, for the Bayonetta video games, and she was saying, long story short, she's done the first couple games. People love her as the voice of Bayonetta, and she was offered like what, $3,000 or $4,000? $4,000 for all that work to do it again, which might sound like a lot to some listeners, but the amount of hours it must take to do that and the amount of consistency and discipline you must have, I think it's probably a pretty significant commitment. But what was the follow up, Graham?
Yeah, so to amend that, like the most recent thing, and it's still in the process of being.
This is hot
verified.
Tea. Yeah,
this is a very hot tea. I think it was $4,000 per 2 to 3 hour block in a session, and they said the whole game probably would take anywhere from 5 to 6 sessions. So that could have been an 8-hour day at $4,000 every 2 to 3 hours. You know what I mean? So like. Again, but that's just like what has come out. Like, it's not fully vetted yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know it's. To be fair, the director of Platinum Games, I'm blanking on his name, but like he went on some fucking internet tirade. And
really?
His account got suspended. Well, his account got suspended, and then the account was deleted, and then it got brought back up today, and like
messy.
It's very messy on a game that I'm looking forward to. I'm very excited for Bayonetta 3, and just have this all muddying up is kind of shitty. But,
it's
pay your people. That's all I gotta say.
This is the interesting thing. I think it happens a lot in sports and in entertainment. Is just talent pay, right? And like, what slice of the pie do they get? What is the industry standard for that? Are they overpaid or underpaid according to standard? That doesn't mean it's fair or not fair. It just means maybe the standard is off sometimes.
Yep.
But it's definitely very interesting because everything we've learned about, I think, the animation industry, and correct me if I'm wrong, listener or Grant, is like when you talk about actual animators and actual voice actors, the only real consistent thing is kind of overworked, underpaid, right? Lots of projects on the go at once. It's just interesting. It seems like an industry kind of ripe for disruption, but it also feels like an industry that's already pretty established, not a ton of alternatives.
They're figuring out whether it's the voice acting and the video game side too. Like, they're slowly cluing into unionization, and I'm good for them.
It's very interesting.
It's very sticky wicket.
Okay, so that is our review of Spy Family episode 15. I mean, really though, like, Anya gets a dog.
Yeah.
The chemistry is good. I don't have a ton to say here. Do you have anything to say here?
No, comedy was great. It's on point as per usual. Leanne and I were talking, because we watched the episode today actually, and we were talking that I think when this season is over, because I really like Spy Family, but the pacing of it is, for the show it is paced well, but I think I'm ready for more juice. And people talk, so highly of Spy Family. I think I'm just going to start reading the manga and go further.
It's interesting. You say that because... Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. That's pretty much it. I think there's so much there, and it just kind of I think in this instance, the anime is holding the story back.
Yeah, maybe it's just like it's like, it's so funny how this comes up all the time, and I feel like it comes up a lot of the time on this podcast. Maybe it's Spy Family or what, but like week to week, it's fun, and they're just short. There's just like not a ton to talk about. I bet, like if you're listening to this and you haven't watched Spy Family, and you're hungover on a Sunday, go watch all of it. I bet you'll have a ball. Like, or you know what I mean?
If you of a binge, yeah.
Yeah, like I bet you're gonna watch this thing in 2 or 3 days, and I bet it's fantastic. It's fun week to week. Some episodes are better than others, but like this would probably be better in like 2 to 3 episode chunks. So like to your point, that's kind of a better manga, but that's not necessarily a knock. It's just week to week, it's a touch slow.
Well, if anything, like that's all anime is. Like, let's be honest, they're just trying to sell more issues of the manga.
Yeah,
you know, it's just one giant marketing thing, and they've succeeded, but not the way they usually expect. You know, like I know there's something there. I'm really liking it, but you know, each week it's just, you know, that's good. I think it's the comedy that I enjoy so much, and I want more of the comedy. So I think that's what's kind of leading me to just go read the manga.
Well put.
And Leanna's down for it. So
yeah, maybe I'll take a peek too. Yeah. Okay, for all the things we've both watched, this is our last one, and you, I think. We were controversial. Maybe not controversial. We were split on this anime last week. Let's talk about Blue Lock, episode 2.
So, you're out on Gundam.
And you're out on Blue Lock?
I'm out on Blue Lock, yeah.
I mean, that gives us more time.
Yeah, it definitely opens up some space. But Blue Lock is not a bad show. I want to hit that up front. I think it is well made, and they did some fucking really cool things with 3D animation in this episode.
They did this. Yeah, they did.
But it's not my bag, man. You know, I don't know what it is about it. It's not clicking, and I know maybe I should give it the anime 3. And maybe I will. Maybe I'll give it that 3rd episode, but it's, you know,
still very clearly in its world building phase.
Yeah, but I'm already getting.
I'm not using that as a defense. I'm just saying, like the anime 3.
I think the world building is good. I think it's a very interesting concept. I can't do week to week of all Bakugos. I can't. That's what it is, and it's only going to get more like that, like once they introduce, because by the end of the episode, I think if you watch past the credits, like they tee up like the team they're going to be playing from like the other block or whatever,
yeah,
and like they're all there making like, you know, mean mugging faces and all that, and then you see the team that we're following, you know, Team Z or whatever, and you know they're all mean mugging. It's like, fuck, I can't do 20 minutes of this every week of these guys just yelling at each other, and it might not be that, but that's just the vibe I'm getting, and there's too much good shit on right now that I could be focusing the time on.
This is fair. So yeah, I think that's a fair take. I think what I'll say is I came away from this episode, and I think my overwhelming feeling was this is a silly show. Like it's
plain as day. Yeah.
It like it's hard to take seriously, but it's also a show about like soccer turned Squid Game. So it's like, what did you think it was going to be, right? I was kind of like saying that to myself. Like, I don't know what I thought this would be, but this isn't. Like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be Haikyuu, but soccer. And it's more like...
It's definitely not that, yeah.
No, but yeah, this is more like Squid Game meets soccer.
Yeah,
but like
soccer, it's like one of the mini games in Squid Game is soccer related.
Yeah, but like with a ton of anime tropes. I mean, one thing I will say for sure, based off the first 2 episodes that I've seen, is like the animation is legit. Like, it's a very nice looking show. Yep. So nothing's wrong with that. If I have time on Sundays, like there are just times... And I know you know what this is like, and I know the listeners know what this is like. Like, there's so much anime, and it sometimes can be a little derivative and daunting to start a new thing. Mm-hmm. People attacking me about One Piece. But you know what I mean? It's like, man, I don't know. Am I supposed to start Overlord now just because I don't know what to watch? And more often than not, the answer is no. So, like, this will go for me in the background, and I'll throw it on and just sort of, like, popcorn, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, what was that show you used to always say, oh, this is popcorn? We covered it recently.
My Hero?
Yeah.
No.
It might have been My Hero Season 5. I don't know.
No. What was it? Damn. Wow. Psycho Season's got me all fucked up.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? I think it's fine. It's funny, but yeah, like I agree with you. It's not a bad show. It's not a fantastic show either. I do prefer its weaknesses more than I prefer Gundam which for Mercury's weaknesses. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Or it's also just a better fit for me, and the other one's a better fit for you.
Well, I think like ding ding ding, that's it right there, 100%. It just each one kind of speaks what's better. There's a couple things. There's one thing in Blue Lock that I found like it made me laugh harder. I don't know if they were trying to go for a laugh, but there's a press conference scene.
It was absurd. That was the silliest thing I've ever seen.
It was the silliest thing, but like the woman's up there, like she's like fucking, she's giving her whole pitch, and there's just a guy in the crowd, and there wasn't like cursing or whatever, but he kind of just gets up and he's like what the fuck are you talking about? He's like this is soccer, and I'm like thank you. I love that how like aware it is of everything. Like the manga is apparently fucking huge, so like I know it's a big deal. Like it's this is another one of those shows people have been wanting an adaptation for quite a while. So
adaptation.
It's this will be good. Like I said, maybe I'll give it one more, but it's even then going through the second episode. I watched it like in 5-minute blocks. I was just get bored. I can't do it. I can't. Yeah.
That's how you know you don't like something, when you have to take breaks.
I know.
In a 22-minute episode, you're like, I can't bring myself to get through this.
Oh fuck. Yeah,
that's funny.
Blue Lock though. Yeah, well, but I look forward to hearing you talk about it each week, and
well, I'll keep everybody posted, and if not, maybe we'll work something out with the schedule. No stress. We'll figure it out what we cover. What do you think, Grant? What's next?
I got just two more quick things. I didn't catch the second episode of Reincarnated as a Sword, so I'll be more caught up for that next week. But
I bet it's hard.
Hard.
To be reincarnated as a sword because of steel and blades.
Legendary steel.
All right. Sorry.
No, so I watched it again. We're still sticking with Do It Yourself. Fantastic show. Great animation. Very feel good. But the show I really want to talk about, and I hope you check out the first episode. It's Bocce the Rock. So it's a Cloverworks animation. So Dress Up Darling, and you can feel so much of Dress Up Darling in this. It's amazing. Cloverworks is just so good at showing real movement and just how like people normally walk.
What else have they done, Grant?
Well, Spy Family. They're like it's them in them with Studio. I'm not too familiar with like their stuff prior to
I know
Dress Up Darling.
I know they've done big stuff or other shit. I know. I just can't remember. Anyway, sorry.
They're definitely one of the big boys like right now in like modern anime. But it's just a show, quiet girl, social anxiety. Like the concept is like very on brand for slice of life. But she falls in love with rock music and she becomes a guitar player. Never played with a band. She's been too afraid to talk to people. The band finds her, and she ends up working at the club and. She's a part of the guitar player in the band now. It's like, I don't want to break down the whole thing. It's just very slice of lifey, but the anime, like the real life animation of the movement and them playing their instruments, it's just so fantastic.
This is Bocce the Rock?
Bocce the Rock, yeah.
Crunchyroll, and is this just the pilot you're talking about that you've seen?
No, there's 2 episodes out so far.
Okay.
I watched the first 2, but very, very good. Great voice acting. The tunes are great. Like when they play, you see them play. Like it's very meticulous. It's just it was so too. I had no idea Cloverworks was doing it, and there was literally just a transition from them walking from like the club, the floor of the club into like the kitchenette area.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck! I've seen that movement before. And lo and behold, I looked, at the end of the episode, Cloverworks, and I was like, wow.
So interesting that you picked that out.
They've got a style. Because that was like the biggest thing in Dress Up Darling. You would just see like these there's like a beach episode where the two of them are like kind of having a day at the beach and just them like walking around and kicking around the sand. You're like, holy fuck, that's like people. Like it's crazy how like nail on they can get some scenes. And but yeah, so I'm really really enjoying Bocce the Rock. It completely shot up to the top of my list of what I'm watching
really
right now. It blew me away. Yeah, very very like colorful and cutesy and all that, but the animation is the real deal.
I may have to take a look.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay. Should we get to the Q&A?
Q&A.
Okay. So this is we've gone 72 minutes, so we're just gonna do one here today. Leanna sent in a good one, and I'm surprised, I have to say, that we haven't been asked this yet. Do you have a favorite voice actor and a favorite part by that actor?
Everyone's got one. Everyone's got that one voice that they're just drawn to.
100% we're going to have the same one.
You think so?
Yeah, yes.
Probably.
Want to say it on 3? Watch us both pronounce his name wrong on 3.
Okay. All right.
1, 2, 3. Kenjiro
Suda. Yeah,
obviously. For the uninitiated, he is... Let's list off his parts, Grant. I'll go 1, you go 1. Okay. He is Overhaul in My Hero Academia Season 4. We actually just talked about that.
He's fucking Kento Nanami from Jujutsu Kaisen.
And my favorite part of his that he's done is he is the Beholder, the Man in Black, into Your Eternity. Next
week. Also, he's Tatsu from Way House Husband.
Yes, and he's also the dog whose name I forget in Sonny Boy.
Oh yes, he was like the first like major voice I think we had heard in that day. Yeah.
Kenjiro Tsuda, and if you look him up, like he like there are ASMR loops of just his voice, and I think I mentioned it on this podcast. He did a series of shorts for Netflix that like Grant let me know about of real life house husband shorts. Yep. And it's fantastic. Like, I watched them to go to sleep. It was amazing. I say that in a loving way because they're so relaxing.
Yeah, they're very good. Also, like, super educational.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, thank you for your question. If you didn't get your question answered this week or you want it to be answered next week, follow us at Part-Time Otaku Podcast on Instagram. We post our Q&As there every Monday. We record Tuesdays, and the podcast, the Psycho Seasons episodes, will always be up on Wednesdays. So get your questions in on Wednesdays. I think that's it. Why does it feel like I'm forgetting something, Grant? What did you do?
It's Psycho Season, man. It's fucking us up. It's rotting our brains out.
Yeah. Okay. Rings of Power is done. Hot D finale we will be covering alongside Chainsaw Man and everything else that we talked about today, so tune in for the Hot D finale coverage, Chainsaw Man coverage, and all the newsfeed related stuff. Like I said, follow us on Instagram, and also subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts for you weird folk. And we will see you later. Grant, you say the thing?
So before I say the thing, I just want to say, if there's a show, because it's Psycho Season, Rings of Power is ending next week. It's pretty much going to be an anime-only block. If there is something in the fall season that we have not covered yet, that's been out, it's 1 or 2 episodes, if it's a new show, maybe a returning show, because we can't do all that back watching. But let us know in the Q&A next week. Seriously, like if there's something new that we've missed, or even, honestly, if something from summer that we missed that, you've absolutely loved, hit us up, let us know, maybe we'll talk about it.
Do you want it to be specifically anime, Grant, or are you thinking like anything?
No, anime. It's Psycho Season.
It's Psycho Season.
Let's just get lost. Lost in the sauce.
Hit us with your sexy anime picks. Picks. When I say picks, you know what I mean. Like your selections for anime that we have not covered. Grant, say the thing.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.